I've basically spent 10 hours a day for very nearly 4 years taking in information from the day of reckoning is coming, literally moments away. Okay, welcome back, folks. Dream Life Podcast. I'm Steve Buck, as you know, for my friends and followers. Very interesting times that we're talking about right now. For those of you who have been following closely, you know that I've been talking about the military sting operation that has been in effect for 7.5 years and touching upon the New World Order, the globalists, and the implications to the people, the evil people who have been enslaving humanity because of the fact that they entrap themselves by their dirty deeds on, all these places like Epstein Island, the Playboy Mansion, and the 100 other places on Earth, that they set up these honey traps to get these people entrapped. And so after the last episode, I thought to myself, I said, what would be the next natural question that my audience is going to be asking in their minds? Okay, what does this all mean moving forward? And who are the players that are involved? What are we going to see as far as more events coming forward? Because obviously this military sting operation, what is the byproduct? What is the roadkill that we're going to see on the road as we go down this pathway for the end of the Illuminati, the New World Order, the satanic bastards? What other things are we going to see? Immediately, my mind went to first explaining to you, I want to give you a short overview on how much time that I've spent researching, everything that we're talking about. I said that when COVID hit, I started researching geopolitics and I found the Q plan. Now I understand the Q plan. I understand the military sting operation. And so I've basically spent 10 hours a day for very nearly 4 years taking in information from all kinds of different patriots and channels and stuff, of which I'm going to share some of those people and some of those links and stuff where I got my information. And then what I had to do was, over 3.5, almost 4 years now, take all that information, bring it into my mind, and I had to separate the wheat from the tares. There's a lot of stuff I had to throw out just because of the fact that there's a lot of garbage out there. It was titillating, but it wasn't true, and it's really not part of the plan. It's really not happening. Again, I think you need to understand that I've spent nearly 4 years, 10 hours a day, for 4 years, assimilating, pulling this information in, putting it through the Steve Buck, math filter and say, all right, what adds up and what doesn't? And then I'm going to spit out an equation at the end that hopefully the equation will be close. I mean, it's probably not going to be perfect, but we know what the answer is and what's coming. So I want to talk for a minute about the numbers. Okay. There's a website, and I have not personally seen the website. Okay. But there's a website that tracks how many federal sealed indictments are on the court books at any given point in time. I've come to the knowledge and understanding that typically the United States Federal Justice Department, they normally have 1,500 to 2,500 sealed indictments on the books at any given point in time. Currently, I'm under the understanding that over the past 7.5 years that the military sting operation has been going on, and the good God-fearing patriots in the Justice Department who have been writing the indictments for the people who are going to jail. Currently, right now, there's 495,104 sealed federal indictments. Now, what you need to understand about a federal indictment is that one federal indictment does not necessarily mean one person. A federal indictment, within that one indictment, you could have one person or you could have up to 99 people in that indictment. If you just use common sense and you think to yourself, let's say they average 2 or 3. If each federal indictment has 2 people in it, that's 1 million people going to jail. If it has 3 people in it, that's 1.5 million Americans going to jail for treason, crimes against humanity, child sex trafficking, drug trafficking, arms trafficking, whatever their crime was. There's 495,104 sealed federal indictments. If you don't think that there's a bomb, a nuclear bomb ready to go off in the justice system, and that there's a lot of bad, treasonous, satanic bastards that are going to jail, if you can't figure that math out, I'm sorry, you might as well shut me off right now because you ain't going to get it. One of the events coming up is going to be a 10-day shutdown where when the military goes to arrest the balance of the people who have not been arrested already. So keep in mind, we know and we understand that all of the top dogs, all the really bad people have already been arrested in covert actions because they had to cut off the head of the snake. Okay, so now you just got the body of the snake just flailing around. So if you take the United States of America, we're basically 5% of the population of the earth. And so if we have a million of the criminals and we're only 5% of the population of the earth, that means that there's several millions across the earth who have committed these crimes in conspiracy with these treasonous bastards in America. So do the math. We're 5%. That means there's 20 times more people. 20 times a million is to say across the earth, there could be up to 20 million people going to military court-martial, military tribunal, military court, military noose, military guillotine, military shooting range. What percentage of those crimes is going to rise to the elevation of capital punishment? I think I think at least 50%. I think there's going to be a lot of treason, seditious conspiracy to overthrow the government. You're talking about serious crimes. These people, they got away with it forever. The day of reckoning is coming literally moments away. And so there's going to be a 10-day shutdown period where the military is going to have to shut down the internet, shut down airplanes, trains, automobiles, everything. And all the militaries of the earth are going to round up these 20 million people, and they have homes for them. They've built facilities to humanely house these inhumane bastards. So preparations have been made, but there's going to be a 10-day shutdown, which will come forth vis-a-vis the emergency broadcasting system. And the military will provide all the necessary information for public consumption of these arrests and who these people are, what their crimes are. I'm sure they're going to be broadcasting some of the military tribunals from, people from the head of the snake. But that's the type of stuff that you can expect to see happen and coming down as part of this overall process. And I want to share with my audience just some of the stuff that I've studied, some of the people that I've gotten information from. We're going to look here on the screen right now. John Harold is who we refer to as Patel Patriot. And his radio name of Patel Patriot, he's a big fan of Kash Patel, who was a prosecutor in the DOJ, who was very instrumental in the Trump organization. He's of Indian descent, former chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense, and great patriot. It says Mr. Patel served as a former chief of staff to acting Secretary of Defense Christopher Miller and is responsible for leading the Secretary's mission at the department. What you need to understand about Christopher Miller was made the Secretary of Defense on December 8th, 2020. Anybody who understands politics and positions of governance and the Defense Department says to himself, all right, why would Donald Trump put in a new Secretary of Defense on December 8th, 2020? You're supposedly on your way out the door. Trump wasn't going on his way out the door at all. What Trump was on his way to devolving the government. And that devolving the government is explained in an outstanding fashion by Patel Patriot. John Harold is his name. And on the screen here, you could see, here's Devolution Part 1, how we got here. This is a 25 or 26 part series that you can read. John Harold, in the most excellent fashion, he describes what Donald Trump had to do to devolve the government into a continuity of government plan as the military was going to go from the time period of the capture of the government from the supposed inauguration, January 21st of 2021, up until when the final battle happens here in the next 8 to 12 weeks. So you can read these articles right here. But what I like to do is let's see. He has a friend, Patrick Gunnels, who reads the Patel Patriot series. So Patrick Gunnels actually reads these episodes out loud. And let me see. This is Patrick Gunnels, great patriot. This is the guy who reads the Devolution series. So as you can see right here, Devolution Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, I don't know where Part 5 is. You'll find it. Part 6, 7, 8, you know what I'm saying? Addendums to certain ones, okay? So what I encourage everybody to do is you can read along with them, but Patrick Gunnels does a fabulous job of reading the Devolution series that teaches you what was happening within our government, why Trump had to devolve the government into the military hands once we went into an occupied state. Now, when I say an occupied state, that's a term that comes from the Geneva Convention. And the Geneva Convention basically outlines military law. If you have a military force that's occupying a territory or a land, okay, that's not theirs, there's certain requirements and things that you have to do. Like, for instance, you have to delineate your occupation area. And a lot of people don't understand why there was a fence that went up in Washington, D.C. right before the quote-unquote the fake inauguration of Joe Biden. The fence went up because Trump militarized the National Guard to delineate the occupied territory in Washington, D.C., with a fence. They said on that side of the fence, that's occupied territory by the occupying force of the satanic bastards who overthrew our government by stealing the election. That's why the fence went all the way around the Capitol, because all those treasonous bastards that were in Congress, they're the occupying force of our lands, of our country. So Trump and the military had to conform to the laws of the Geneva Convention, and they had to delineate the occupied territory. Now, there's plenty of videos online, National Guard turning its back on Biden because they did not recognize them. Oh, the National Guard did not turn their backs. They most absolutely did. So we'll go here to Stars and Stripes right here. Okay, so what you see here is you see the National Guard, okay, the troops turning their back on Biden's procession. Now, why did they do that? They were demonstrating to those people who would be paying attention to the fact that Joe Biden, he didn't win the election. He didn't even get inaugurated. If you go back and look, they had the fake inauguration like 15 minutes before 12 o'clock noon. You can't have an inauguration before 12 o'clock noon on inauguration day. And so this was just another signal to those paying attention that this was just a fake inauguration of Joe Biden, and it was not going to be recognized. Let's go back to the Devolution series. The Devolution series will bring you up to speed a lot faster without me going through literally a few hours of these series. There's a lot of fantastic information that will help enlighten you to the Law of War Manual, all the different things on why Donald Trump and the military had to devolve our government into a wartime position from 2020 all the way to the current date of today. So I'm not going to belabor that point any further, but I just want to show you folks, some of the areas that, I've gotten the information for. You can read it for yourself, and it's bulletproof. But you can decide for yourself, but I've read it. It makes sense. It follows the law. It follows the Law of War Manual. I'm not gonna doubt those things because, as far as I'm concerned, it's fact. I'm going to wrap this podcast up at that end. In the next episode, we'll start delving into some more components of the sting operation. But this here, continues to fill in some of the questions that I thought that my audience would have to say, okay, how do you start to pull all this together? This is how we start pulling it all together. And so very shortly, I'll be back at you with the next episode. You'll enjoy that one just as much as this one. So thanks for being with me, folks, and we will see you then. So, folks, if you like my channel and you like the golden nuggets that we're delivering, please hit like and also subscribe. And also you can comment anything that you want to say or questions that you have down in the comment section, and we'll reply to that. Thank you.